So you had a policy committee meeting before the regular full school board meeting, and one of the policies you talked about was 5120, which is K-12 assignment of students to schools. What was supposed to change with the policy that brought it to the meeting today?
Okay, it's very important that we have a limited policy or a policy that limits open choice within the district into schools. And the reason is that every school has a limit in every single grade level with how many students they can actually accommodate in that school. And we don't want to have a situation where families move into the district either in the summer or during the school year and they can see the school from their house, but their child can't attend it because it's already been filled up with students choicing in from other attendance boundaries within our district. So we try to keep that to a minimum and really make sure that it's something that is particularly important to that child. So for instance, at both the primary and the secondary levels, if a child has an IEP, that they need some kind of special ed accommodation that's more appropriate at another school than the school that they would otherwise go into by neighborhood, well, we want to make sure that they can move into that school that would be best for their child. The other item that we take a strong look at is whether there's an educational program at the secondary level that's only available in one of the high schools, because we don't want people going in for social reasons or sports reasons. We want to make sure it's an academic, because that's the purpose of the school, is academics.
And what were some of the concerns the school board had about the language that was going to be changed with the policy?
Well, we need to make sure that it's specific enough so that parents understand the language. But there also has to be some opportunity for something that occurs that is outside of our expectations that would result in a better placement for a child in another school. So you need to have a process that allows for that as well. And so thinking our way through all of the possible things, well, you're never going to get to all of them, but we can at least figure out a way to state the language so that it gives the flexibility and the necessary rigidity so that we can plan effectively for the best use of your tax dollars.
One of the things that was discussed a lot with that was how to classify a hardship. Can you kind of talk about what some of those situations could be?
Well, we talked about that and whether there should be a hardship clause that if for some reason, say for child care needs, that the child has to be able to get to their grandparents' house before or after school and their grandparents live in another attendance, should that be possible? Well, but what if it's just a trusted babysitter and you can't just go to another babysitter that just happens to be in the right school area? So maybe that's a hardship. Maybe there's other kinds of considerations as well. Maybe there's a consideration that that the child wants to be moved by its parents from a school that is nearing or above capacity to a school that is below. Well, maybe that's a good thing for the district as a whole too. So again, we wanted to try to figure out a way to make sure that we could accommodate as much as possible without creating a situation that causes a lot of burdens with some schools oversubscribed, other schools undersubscribed, and our staffing levels, and therefore the burdens placed on the teachers and students in some classrooms being much higher than they are in other classrooms. We want to try to average these things out to the greatest degree possible.
And then no action was taken on the policy this meeting. So what happens between now and when it comes up at the next meeting?
There's no change in the way we do business. It will just continue as before.
Okay. And then one of the other policies that there was a lot of discussion about was 1300, which is public participation in board meetings. What would potentially be changing about public participation?
There was just a couple of recommendations for administration of a 2, maybe 3 sentence change to it to make it clear to anybody who wants to participate that the board will not be responding directly to them. And that's very important because the board cannot make any decisions on any items that have not been agendized 24 hours in advance. It's illegal. And so we can't make any decisions on anything that we haven't told the public. Tonight we're going to make a decision on this topic. So we absolutely can't do that. There may be room for discussion, but there is a really fine line between discussing a topic and steering it towards a certain kind of endpoint, right? And so we have come to the conclusion that the board is better off not commenting on it. So when somebody comes to comment, I will be telling them we very much are glad you're here. We will seriously take what you say into account, but we can't respond to you right now. And in the case that's an item that is on the agenda, we'll be responding and talking about that when that comes up in the agenda. So we don't want anybody to feel that they're not being listened to, not being heard, but we got to make sure that we're following the law and not creating unnecessary problems.
And then what were some of the concerns about feeling like the board was unapproachable with that policy?
Well, you got to be careful, because if you simply say you got your 5 minutes and then we dismiss you, right, as if we're not paying attention, as if we don't care, that sends entirely the wrong message to the community. And so we want to be making sure that people know that we do want to hear from them. But we have to do it within these certain limitations by law and also by practicality.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think things are going on the whole very well in the district, and we're very well served by our staff, and we've got great kids, great families doing wonderful work.